Camera C. Let's get this thing cruising here. So I gotta go. Alrighty. We can start the... This is working? I think so. Wedging table? I gotta bring this over here. Ah, we got a couple of people saying hello. Hello, people. I feel like I did something when I did this. Something sounds like it fell, but I can't really tell what. Maybe there's something up here? I can't really. Whatever. Get this out of here. Okay. The first thing I'm gonna do is I gotta wedge some more of this up. I got some clay today, but I felt like I already opened this bag. I should use the rest of it. So we're having another day of porcelain. And possibly a little bit more porcelain than what we were working with yesterday. It seems like I had some other porcelain that I just shoved in this bag. And so you can see I kind of have like some more up here. So kind of interesting. We'll see what we got cruising here. But yeah, so I'm just gonna wedge this up real quick. Doing the ram's head technique. And on this one, I don't think I need to worry about it as much. But on the other two, there's this kind of like this little bump here and there's some holes there. So I want to make sure I wedge that up a little bit neater there, right? Also, I kind of want to make sure I get some water on this right now. I'll have that hydrate itself here. Wipe our hands on our pants that are already dirty. We'll start wedging up this one. And the stiff clay is nice, right? Like right now, these two are probably more stiff than that other one, right? And so that's gonna be kind of nice. Because if we're working with a little bit more clay, if we want to get some height, I usually depend on that stiffness to really zone in. Sometimes if it's too soft, any little bit of misaligned tension is gonna cause it to collapse on that bottom. So I usually want it a little bit more, what's the word? Resistant to my pressure. Bucket list, always wanted to try this. Hello. I am dog 2. Who's dog 1? I also want to grab this. You guys won't be able to see this, but I like to have a little extra window to see what I'm doing, just in case, like if I try to switch the camera and it doesn't work. And so that way I can see it. Instead of having to look up at the computer, I can just look up at the monitor that's right in front of my little system there, my setup. Again, I'm doing some ram's head wedging. They call it ram's head because if you look at it, if 2 eyes go here, it kind of looks like a little happy ram. And then I'll usually get it to about there, and I'll switch over to some spiral wedging. And so the key with spiral wedging is that you're only actually working with this much. So you'll see people who work with larger amounts of clay, they'll do a lot of spiral wedging because it's easier on their wrists. You have to have some big baseball glove hands to ram's head with like a large amount of clay. Okay, so here's our other one. What numbers am I throwing today? I think I'm at 1028 through 1030 is what I'm going to be making today. I'm going to cut off some of this clay. Get off to the edge here. There we go. Alright. Pottery shelf. Okay. And then camera A. Sweet. I'm going to spin this a little bit. Maybe a little bit too fast for the music that's playing right now. Can you guys even hear the music, or is it a little bit too soft? Perhaps I need to turn it up a little bit here. I'll reset it too, because if I'm starting now... Does that feel kind of nice? I think I want it a little bit louder because it's softer music. Let's reset the whole thing here. Sweet. Okay. Awesome. I love these playlists by a guy named Nobody. They're literally some of the best playlists for like ambient stuff too, and there's all sorts of different energies that he brings to a playlist. This one is like cleaning your mind or some shit. Alright, here we go. You guys ready? Sending me some energy. Green on. Flow like water, right? But anyway, good morning, Jones. What you focus on grows. Feed them horses. 3 more pots coming your guys' way. Working with porcelain again, you know. After yesterday, you know, I got some good ones out of the porcelain yesterday. Instead of, you know, opening up some new bags, I went to the pottery supply store and I got some more clay, but let's finish off the porcelain and be done with it so we don't have to look at it again, right? Anyway, I'm going to get right into it here. I'll see you guys over there in a second. Green off. Camera C. Okay, we'll get our little shoesies back on, our little slippers. Reach over here, turn that off. Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta turn this back on. My finger hit the screen, so now it's focusing in the corner. I did that one time and then it made me blurry when I went to go do my video. My review at the end. Alright, we'll bring this over here. Okay. There's some questions, so I'll get to those in just a second, guys. Alright. Looks like a lot of clay in here, so I'm gonna kind of get some new water. But all the positive energy. Somebody called me Mr. Pottery, loving the vibes today. Thank you, Space Cowboy. Such cool effects, thank you. This is pretty neat. I appreciate it, Josh. Alright. I'm gonna find wild clay and have a crazy amount of iron-rich red clay where I am in Pennsylvania. Oh, I feel like porcelain is kind of sterile, to be honest. Thank you, Josh. I'll see you around. I've not seen you work with porcelain yet. I'm gonna go full screen and go to bed. Peace all. Yeah, of course. Yeah, sometimes I work with porcelain and it's just kind of a... I don't know. It's just not my favorite. I think sometimes it's a little bit sterile. It feels manufactured sometimes. I kind of like some of the iron impurities in some other clays. Even though I know all clay that you buy is manufactured. It's a recipe to some degree, right? That mixes a lot of found, and a lot of clays are kind of like the that we use is a result of other industries, and we get kind of like the leftover material, right? And so that's where a lot of the ceramic material we use is for. All right, so here we go. Camera B. Push down, push down. There we go. A little bit of water right at this base. First thing that we want to do is seal this off, right? Awesome. So now that's sealed. Now we can push on it without it wanting to rip off, right? So I'm going to project that left hand forward and use that wheel pushing up against that left hand to get that pretty centered, right? Go one more time. Right down to the bottom base again. Push in, push up against that right hand, right? That right hand is that wall. And if I'm starting to feel there's some moments here that are a little bit uneven, I'm getting some kind of stress marks in that middle, so I'm going to go down right away. I'm not going to work with it too much. If I stretch it out too much at this point, it's going to want to tear and rip, right? So right now we're stretching out like, imagine you're going for a run, and you wanted to warm up right before you went for your little evening jog. Okay? Again, I'm going to push this up and in. We're going to go down. Again, get ready to curl this down at the bottom. And make sure when you're at the base, don't be afraid to cut off some of that clay, right? Sometimes there's some clay that's hanging out there that isn't part of the whole mass. Just kind of nesting on that surface. Get rid of that, you know? I'd rather it come off now than later. Seems like a Mario song just popped on. I feel like this thing is like burned in my memory, like an underwater level. Again, a little bit more water. Right down to the base. I feel like now we're cruising. Now I feel like there's less tension in the clay, and I can bring it up a little bit further up. It's Paper Mario. Okay. Down to the bottom one more time. We're going to swap over to camera A. And we're not really focused on how much it's wobbling on that top. We're just focused on what's happening right underneath my hands here. Right? So now we got that. Here we go. Scoop that up. Then tilt that over. And wherever that wobble's happening, you're going to lower your right hand, push forward a little bit, and slowly walk that up to that left hand. Alright, and look how that just gets it right back on center, moving it down as a unit. A little bit of wobble. Get ready, and then you can bring that right back up and moving down as a unit. Right? We're going to get to this point, and we're going to swap over to camera C. Yeah, I'm just trying to get rid of, I used some white clay yesterday too, some porcelain, so I just want to end off the bag instead of having like an already open bag, just kind of sit around, right? Okay. Right down to the base. Don't worry, I just decided to get 300 pounds. My tire's a little bit weird. Normally I would go up to like 500 pounds, but my car is not, I think I'll damage my car if I have more in the trunk, right? So I just got 300 today. I slowly am down and I walk this back towards myself, right? And I can tell right at the base, it's not like perfectly centered here. So I'm gonna slowly cut off some of that, and I'm gonna go back in and make sure I'm having some more tension right at that underside of my palm on my left hand. So I'm in and I'm slowly walking that off-center clay out, very slow. Have it nest, loosen up that pressure, there we go. Alright guys. Make a little pond on the center here. I think sometimes it's really important, if you don't have a lot of water on this inside, you get some more tension on your fingers. So I'm going to open this up, kind of going slowly. I've noticed that a lot of people go really deep on this, right? I would say kind of get close to the depth and then lean off. You can define some more depth in a little bit when you open this up, right? So now we have that, and we're going to slowly hook our fingers. I have my hands right above that knuckle, and I'm using kind of my middle finger as the blade to cut through all that clay. A lot of people have some force on this outside. I felt if you really allow the wheel to cut through on this interior here, you shouldn't really have to worry about being too, what the heck? Why does that happen? Camera C, you can't be out of battery, right? Is it a battery thing? Yeah, I think it is a battery thing. Hold on, guys. Computer? Camera A? Alright, you're gonna have to just wait for 1 second, guys. I gotta change this battery in the back of my... I feel like that I forgot to switch the batteries from my other one here. Alright, this should work. Camera C? Camera C? I don't know. We'll just keep on cruising and then we'll see if it comes back in a second. Oh! Never mind, it's back. Dang, sorry about that. I forgot to change the battery when it first came down here. We're back. Rare camera C L moment. It happened yesterday though. Alright. So here we are. And I'm gonna be pushing inwards on this interior here, right? Just a little bit. Just to make sure. And I gotta be careful because sometimes if you push too hard, you're gonna push some of that clay into the wall and it's gonna be not sealed properly, right? You're gonna have water in between that layer on the interior surface. I don't really know if that makes sense how I'm explaining it. Sometimes if you have two solid chunks of clay and water gets in between, like look at all the clay that's on my hands, this is not going to want to stick together, right? This is going to want to like slide away. So you want to make sure that you only have dry clay touching dry clay. So sometimes when I push this interior clay, it folds right at that corner, which can cause some troubles later on when I go for a pull. Right, and so right now, I'm going to try to realign some of this clay here, right? If we swap over to, oh yeah, pottery shelf. Pottery shelf. Camera B. Alright, so do you see how I have this lip here? So what I'll do is I'm slowly going to hold on to this like a handlebar, and I'm going to use my chicken wing here to slowly blend this into be one homogeneous ring. I feel like sometimes, you know, it's getting a little bit off center, but I wouldn't really worry about that at this point. I feel like it's more important to get that to be one homogeneous thing. We're smoothing this out. Okay. Again, some water right on this top. And we're gonna bring our best friend of the stream. Hey guys. Me, Llama here. We're gonna get ready for a nice volcano pull, making a porcelain volcano. Let's get into it. Bite right on that rim. And although it might not seem like it, this left hand is pushing forward while this right hand is slowly pulling back. And it's that coming across center, not pulling towards the center, but coming across and past center. That's gonna bring that inwards, right? Now you have a little volcano. Alright, we have the sponge. Again, my knuckle right at the base. I'm slowly going to be pushing in. And sometimes you got to be careful, because when you're doing a pull like this, if you pull too, if you cut through the clay too much, right, you're going to get it thin at that base and it's going to get too thick. So you want to make sure once you get about this halfway through, you kind of slow that pull down a little bit and really focus on thinning out some of that wall thickness and get it really nice and even, right? Oftentimes I find at this bottom part I get pretty thin. Orion James says, I can't have the sound on right now, but I saw a llama and laughed really hard. Laugh out loud. Thank you, Orion James. Okay. Again, we're gonna go right to this bottom. Oh, he can't hear me, but I'll give him a thumbs up. Somebody gave me some volcanoes in the chat. Thank you for the volcano emojis. And again, we're gonna go right down to the bottom. I'm using my finger and I'm pushing down first, right? Something that I see a lot of people don't do is, do you see how I left some of this clay here? So this is gonna be where I make the skirt of later. But sometimes if it's not perfectly entered or centered, right, you can push this down and recenter it from the base right here and then make your poles. Sometimes I think a lot of people aren't starting from an on-center base, and then if you don't start from an on-center base, everything else is just gonna get off-center above it, right? And so for me, I start with that on-center base, and I created that by pushing off this off-center stuff down. So now the poles are going to be pretty on-center. So that's a way, if you ever get too freaked out if your thing's not centered enough, it doesn't need to be perfectly centered, it just needs to be centered where you start your pole, right? And again, you find this little bump, and you slowly walk this up, and get some of that nice thinness there. Maybe a little bit too thin right here. You see this little thin part here? Spend some more time and just kind of clean that up just a tad, right? Okay, we got one more pole in this. So one thing that I'll do is collar in. Right this top. Round that top edge off. And when you bring things in, it's going to emphasize any inconsistencies, right? But you don't let those inconsistencies freak you out. You keep pushing them forward, okay? A little bit more water. Get ready. We have the clay for quest, and sometimes I'll get some water on my hand over here, so if it touches this rim, it doesn't get stuck. And again, I'll be right at this base. And I'm going to be slow at the base. I'm always slow at the base. Push in just a little bit. Slowly inching up my interior hand above my exterior fingers. Now I have this bump, and as soon as I have that bump, that's when I can start going, right? And watch me just slowly walk this up, right? That's the key with a lot of making these nice poles. It's being very slow, maintaining that bump all the way through this top here. Not freaking out because we have a little bit of a wobble, but we're not trying to catch that wobble. We're finishing off that pole. And there you go, guys. Okay. So here we go. We're going to go down to the bottom and get some of the water out, right? That's something I notice about this, is I actually have a lot of clay down here, right? And so I want to get that water out. Thank you, Orion James. I'll see you around, okay? Before we start our little tendrils in the veins of the tree, we're going to define a little spot to start from, right? We'll start from there, and maybe I'll push this down just a little bit. And you'll see, as I'm pushing this clay, it might get a little bit off-center on that top, right? So I'm manipulating where that base is. And so everything kind of gets exaggerated the further from the base you get, you know? So if I manipulate this, you're going to start seeing that top get a little bit more wonky. Okay, so here we go. Getting ready. We're going to slowly walk this twist up, right? So 1, 2, 3. Oh, I slowed down a little bit too much. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. I don't know why sometimes on my wheel, you guys see how sometimes on one side, if I go slow enough, it will just kind of pause? I feel like my wheel's getting a little bit too, it's not an old wheel, but I do use it a lot. I'll see you around, David. Thanks for stopping in. Alright, so something that we're going to make sure we do too is if I'm looking at this, I notice that it's not really caving in as much in this bottom section. So I'm going to sit down there with a little bit of water, and I'm going to make sure I really pop this in right at this base here, right? And that's really a key for me. Oh, I got a little rip there, but I'm not going to freak out. Continue that, because then when we twist this up, it's going to want to collapse more in that middle part, right? A little bit of water. just because we're thinning that out, it's going to twist downwards a little bit easier. So slowly walking this out. And I think if I just keep on spreading my fingers out, I can get it pretty wide. I'm going to chill out right there. Kiss this rim. You can see on one side I didn't go tall enough, so it's starting to act a little bit funky on the top. But we're just going to let that exist. And there we go. Kiss that rim. Okay, guys. Now we have all this bottom clay to work with. Alright. Very slowly taking this off here. Keeping our eye on our work. Sometimes, if these tendrils where that twist is, they don't rest on each other, it's a little bit unstable. So if you spin it too fast, any of those inconsistencies are really going to stress out that middle point. Sometimes they'll collapse over. So you want to be just slow enough to make sure that doesn't happen, right? Okay, a little bit of water on this bottom edge. I'm slowly going to kick up this skirt. I call it the skirt of the tree. Underneath, and so you can see how I'm lifting that up. I'm slowly just taking this little knife tool and popping that edge up, right? Once it's up, right, this is where potential, a lot of people would cut this off, that's extra thickness, but where other people see something that can be cut off, I see some potential there, right? So I'm going to pull this up. I always think that these can be some cool, interesting elements for the objects, right? So I'm going to slightly pull this up. So I'm spinning it a little bit too fast. I'm starting to see that wobble kind of carry out through that top. So I gotta be careful here. The clay should be stiff enough to handle it though. Got one more, maybe get some more water out of here. How much more clay can I pull out of here realistically? I feel like that's just enough. Alright. Sweet. Okay. First one of the day. You know what? I'm thinking we do some tendrils, right? Maybe we'll do some longer tendrils, but I'll start here. Maybe we'll do 3. It's looking like we have enough for 3. Okay, I'll start here. Okay. And then I'll start right here. And the key with these tendrils, the rip stays there. So these things aren't, like I don't fill them with water. So the rip, I mean it probably got collapsed in over top of. So realistically if I glaze this object it probably would seal. But I usually don't really mess around with those moments where it rips, right? I kind of let them exist. I've found that if you kind of try to touch at them and peck at them, it looks like you're trying to peck at them, right? And so I let them exist, and sometimes they're not even really even noticeable. And if these aren't really functional pots, it doesn't really matter anyway, right? So I'm going to slowly push this in just a tad. Curl this over just a little bit, right? And so these are those tendrils. We got one more to do. And so why did I choose to do the 3 this time? The 3 tendril I chose personally because I think that this pot specifically has a really interesting middle twist, right? And so I want to have some breathing room for you to, you know, stop for a second, see that, and then be able to follow that up a little bit, right? We're going to slowly have some water on our fingers here. We want to smooth out these moments here, right? And so we're just slowly walking these down. And the key is that we want them to look smooth. They don't need to look perfect. They just need to look tapered to this edge to kind of have this fine line. And maybe I'll give it a little wiggle, right? So just loose enough, right? Okay, right down to the bottom. Cut this out. Alrighty, guys. Here we go. Somebody said hello from Russia. Sorry for your broken English. No worries at all. I don't mind at all. I feel like half the time, a lot of my friends even ask me if English is my first language because I spell and my grammar is so atrocious. So you're probably on the same level as I am, to be honest. Alright, camera C. Camera C. Alrighty, so you guys can kind of see the interior. The interior of the pots are my favorite. So bring this over here. So that's number 1. We kind of took some time on number 1, so maybe we'll speed up number 2. But in the meantime, while I get number 2 ready, I'm going to give you guys a little pottery edit. So, sorry I'm going to destroy the piece here, but goated 1. Don't lose your wrist, right? Davon Larrett versus frickin' Levon, dude. That's coming up here in a couple days. 12 days, I think, dude. He's going to win.
I'll eat your brain. Eat it. I'll eat your brain. You know, the body is a shield for your mind. It's what it's there for. It's to protect what really matters. And your body will fail eventually. And your mind, well, we'll find out.
Alright, here we go. Camera B. Push this down. This clay seems a little bit softer than what we just worked with, so this is gonna be kind of interesting. We'll see how this goes. A little water. Again, seal that bottom edge. Get ready. We're gonna push our left hand forward a little bit. And with just this first one, we can tell how much we can go up. You know, I think right now we have one more we can go up. It's starting to feel a little bit wonky on this top part here. I'm starting to feel some of those stress tension points, right? Where it's starting to want to rip rather than stretch, right? Okay, so we're going to bring this up one more time. And we're going to tilt this over, and then we'll bring it up one more time after that. We'll do our twist down, and then we'll get it all centered, right? And so imagine, you know, this is just your warm-up of the clay, right? Again, we're going right down. Get ready. Project our other hand over. Start pushing that left hand in one more time. And just like that, you should be able to bring this up. Alright, we're going to go one more. Get some water on there. We're going to swap over to camera A. Camera A. Again. Our hands right over here. Slowly push this in. And you see how it's wobbling on that top? I'm not really focused on that wobble on that top. I'm focused about what's happening underneath my hands. Some things I would critique myself on this thing, right? All through this middle part here, it's pretty even. Right here, do you see how it's thicker right here and then gets a little bit thinner? That's a bad moment. So that right there, it could probably just tear, but we'll see how it goes. So we're going to tilt this over a little bit. We can spin it. We're going to slow our wheel down. And we're going to activate our slow motion. So here we go. Bring this up from wherever that wobble is. You're going to slowly lower your right hand down. Sit there, and slowly bring that back up to that left hand, right? And where you see that wobble again, that's okay. Push forward just a tad, and then walk that back up to that left hand. There you go. And then we're going to swap over to camera C. Hammer fist coming right down on top. Look at where my hand is, right? Always on this third over here. If you split the clay up into thirds, I'm always on that left third. Alright, right down to this base. Curling that in. Getting ready to push down. Pushing down, pushing down, pushing down. Getting ready to get it all centered. Making sure I have my elbow locked into my hip. using my body weight as resistance to that clay, pushing down and slowly walking my right hand outward to that edge, bringing all that off-centered clay out, around, and right into this hand. Look at my hand. Where do you not see the clay? All in that base of my wrist. Right behind that, that's my elbow, or my elbow's down here, but my wrist, and my elbow's planted right on my hip bone, right? So that's where all that pressure is. Where's the clay building up? All in the palm of my hand. This is where you don't have tension. I think a lot of times people have way too much tension in their palms and not enough on the back of their wrist. Okay. Again, a little bit of water right on the inside here. Somebody said, wipe the stuff off my laptop. This isn't a laptop, this is a monitor. People always think it's a laptop for some reason. There's no keys. Again, some water right in this bottom edge. Alright, again, we're slowly use our fingers as like a little hook, right? I think of the tips of my fingers as what's cutting through. Don't want to push all this clay. That's a lot of clay to manipulate and pull outwards. Any type of inconsistency when pulling that outwards is going to result in it kicking off center. That's why I'm going to choose to cut through, almost like a bead of water cutting through. You know, look, I'm using just one finger, and I'm cutting through that base. And you can see wherever it gets thinner, it's going to want to easily walk out. And so that's how, if you can see, I have a big undercut here. Like, look at that undercut. That's how I'm opening up the clay. I'm not pushing that clay outwards. I'm always cutting through that clay. I'm going to smooth out that bottom. I'm aiming for about 1/8 of an inch at this base, okay? We're going to swap back over to camera A. Something too, I just want to make sure when I bring this in, I don't fold the clay, and I really want to make sure I bring all that clay out to that edge. There we go. Very slowly walking this out to this corner here. There we go. You see I have this little lip here. I'm going to slowly round this off. I almost want it to be a nice rounded donut. And you'll see it's get kicked off a little bit off center. You can see a slight wobble to it. I'm not freaking out about that at all. A lot of people will see things when they get really off centered and they'll be worried about it. No, it's okay as long as when you start pulling, the base that you're pulling from is centered, right? And I'll show you guys how to do that here in a second. Okay, this corner, I'm rounding this in. Okay. Again, a lot of people have a really rounded corner. You want to make sure you have a base and then a wall started. You don't want it to be a swoop. What happens is when you're pushing out and you have a swoop, you naturally are getting carried up past all that thickness that's in this space because of that swoop, right? You want to get that because you want to project that up into the height of the pot, right? A lot of people struggle with that and they always end up with bowls. Okay, so here we go. And it's kind of nice here. When did I start pottery? 4.5 years ago. How did I first get into the tree form? It's a delineation from a lot of my other pots that has been collapsed all into one object. Alright, so here we go. Camera C. Hey guys, it's me, Mr. Llama here. We got our second volcano of the day. Let's get right into it. I'll see you guys in a second. Camera B. Slowly biting the llamas right on this edge and walking this in. Something that you're going to notice, I have a bunch of these little onion rings coming off. We're going to just get those off. That's where clay got folded over, and it's not going to want to stick in that base clay. So just allow that to come off, right? And then slowly walking this in. And those two hands coming across each other, and that's what's going to give us our volcano, right? Do you sell your pottery, or do you do it as a hobby? I don't sell any of my pots, and I don't know if I'd consider it a hobby. For me, I always say I use this analogy, right? If somebody's recognizes a problem with themselves, right? And let's say this problem was they recognize that maybe they were a little bit too overweight and they wanted to live a healthier lifestyle, right? And so they started running every day, right? I don't know if I'd call them a runner, right? Because they're trying to work through a problem that they're defined for themselves, right? In the same way, me working on my pottery every day is a way that I can train my mind and callous my mind, right? So I'm working towards overcoming something through it, right? So it's not really about selling, it's not really about art, it's not really about any of that stuff. It's really about doing it for myself as a way to become a better version of myself, right? A little water. Again, right down to the bottom base, pushing in ever so slightly. Define this bump just a little bit. And what I'm noticing is at that base I had some problems that wasn't perfectly even. So even if I get a nice kind of pull on this top part, it's not going to matter because it's going to get a little bit off center through the second pull. Somebody asked me, are you a Sigma? I need answers. I don't really know what it means. I'm simply the Pottery Demon. I got another volcano in the chat too, thank you. Water on this top. And I want to color this in just a tad, because I know on this next pull, it's probably when I'm going to spill outwards, especially if I get towards the top and it gets too thin. It's going to be easier for it to go out than to push it in. Okay? A little bit of water. Get it on that elbow there. Take a breath. You gotta ask the clay, hey clay, do you have a quest for us? The clay says yes. You're gonna push in at this base. And the clay says, I'm gonna give you a bump, and I want you to take this bump all the way to the top, right? To find that bump slowly, those interior fingers are above the exterior fingers, and you can see that bump. And the rest of this, they call it a pull, but think of it more as a lift, and just slowly lift up this clay. Think of it as a slug trying to find his next meal. He's hungry. He can only move as a slug speed. And like I said, I'm going to go out a little bit to reduce that tension on the bottom. Right at the top there, right? So there we go. Great. You saw my video of me eating clay. I'm just here to ask. You guys want to see a video of me eating clay? I can show you. Alright. Camera A. You want to see me eat clay, huh? I'll show you how I eat clay. Here we go. Alright, so there's a video of me eating clay. I have a couple more, but let me finish some of this stuff here. So I have a little bit too much clay in this water. I'm gonna get some of this out. Take the water right off the top, and here we go. Okay. Typical video in Russian Street, Petersburg. YouTuber. Interesting. What's my country? I feel like, well, I'm from the US, but sometimes I think about it as like, it always seems like on the internet there's so many different people from all sorts of different countries. But it makes me think about, sometimes as a US citizen, I don't think I necessarily align myself with being a US citizen, if that makes sense, right? Like, I find that a lot of people in different countries, they pride themselves on being from that country quite a bit, right? And I'm not that I'm like anti-American by any means, but sometimes I don't necessarily think of myself as a part of the country. I really view myself more as an individual person, right? And so I don't know if y'all feel like that similarly, or maybe you can tell me in the chat, especially those in different countries. Do you feel like you're a representative of your country, or do you kind of feel more like an individual? Just kind of an interesting question while you guys are here. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Slowly walking up that spiral. And if we wanted to twist more in the middle, we'll chill out for a second. Camera B. My music is so fudging loud, fam. I can't hear. Yeah, sure, we can turn this down. If it's ever like that, you guys just let me know. Is that a little bit better? Somebody said, I always feel like I have to represent my country to people online. Interesting. Is it because you feel like, do you feel like it's underrepresented? Or do you feel like it's because of some other thing that I don't really understand, you know? Like, I really don't think I ever feel like I have to represent America, but I understand that America's probably in a way different situation, especially online, than some other countries. Okay. Here we go. Thinning out this middle part, because this is where I want it to twist, right? Have some water on my hands. Slowly pop this down, and I'm going to start seeing that twist right up, and I'm going to be very slow with how I kick this out to this top rim. Slow that down just a little bit, right off, kiss that rim, and there we go. Do I twist everyone? Yep, I do, just because it's the trees, right? Do I produce my own beats? No, but you know, there's been something interesting. I usually just follow my algorithm to come up with all the music that is in like random playlists, right? And a lot of the videos that I've made that have gone, I don't know if I'd call them viral, but just get a lot more views, have been from small music creators, right? And so if you go to my shorts and you look at the most popular ones, both of them, those videos are from artists who are not really well known and their music's not well known. So it's kind of cool. I don't know if I'd call them friends yet, you know, but they still show up every once in a while in the chat. But it's pretty interesting. I always thought how cool would it be to work with a bunch of small I don't know if I'd call them small, but smaller music artists and collab with them. So that way I don't get copyright strike on every single one of my videos, which doesn't matter right now because I don't monetize anything, but it'd be kind of a cool way to exposure, and then also we can get money from it, right? If it ever does happen. And I think that people would like that as an opportunity, right? But I think I gotta get a little bit larger before I can start helping out people like that. I don't think I'm large enough as a creator yet. How does the camera switch? Like when I say it? Yep. So watch this. Camera A. Wait, hold on. I gotta pause. Camera A. Camera A. There we go. And I can have it look at the wheel too, so I can say wheel. And there you go, right? We have an even number. We can turn these into petals at the base of our tree here. So we skip one, and every time we skip, we create a petal. When it's an even number, you can make some nice little petals right at that base. You can see from the camera how it kind of looks like from above. But here we go. Camera B. Take our little tool here. There we go. I have a song you could use, but I don't know how well metal and pottery goes. You'd be surprised. Today is it's an irregular stream. I normally play with music that's a little bit more hype. But I think recently, believe it or not, I'm a little bit insecure to play the music that I would really enjoy to play. I love funk music, but I feel like it would be hard for me to have a conversation while funk is going on, right? Not F-U-N-K funk, but P-H-O-N-K funk, right? So I listen to all sorts of stuff, but camera C, and my head camera is dead now, so pretty unfortunate. But let's get a little bit of an F in the chat for the camera C. It did well. Head camera, you did good. We appreciate you. Back to camera A. Brazilian funk. Yeah, there's a lot of... What's my favorite funk song? I don't know. Maybe, do you guys want me to switch the vibe? I can put some funk music on. Give me a second. It's gonna be a vibe shift. If you guys like the peaceful stuff, I'm sorry. It's gonna be a vibe shift. No jazz, come on. Here, we'll swap over. I gotta make sure a lot of funk has like inappropriate stuff, so I gotta make sure I don't have any inappropriate things on this. So we're gonna swap over to this while I get this figured out. But that's the thing with funk music. You always know if the thumbnail is inappropriate, that the song is probably gonna be decent. I know it's kind of weird, but that's how I feel about it. Alright guys, when I do this though, I'm going to have to change my vibe personally because I can't be talking quiet while I have all this going on here, right? We could do atmospheric funk. But maybe have Toji on it? All right. Hold on, guys. I gotta turn this down. I know this is gonna be really loud. Camera A. Ooh. I feel like this is the vibe. You guys ready? Green on. I said, are you ready for some pottery? Green off. Let's go, guys. We got to get in the zone here. I feel like there couldn't be a larger vibe shift. Pushes down. A little bit of water on there. So funny. Pull this up. We're starting to notice that there's some of it's tearing off here, so we're gonna bring this back down. We wanna warm up that clay, right? So down, get ready to shift. Look at this hand, a little bit of water on there. Bring that up and around, get ready. Then bring this back up. Right down to the base. It's gonna get a little bit wobbly on the top, but we're not gonna freak out. Making sure right where our hand is underneath is centered. Bring this all the way up to the top. There we go. Pottery shelf. Whoa, hairs in there. Bring this back up. Oh, we got this tear, so we gotta be careful there. Bring this up. Slowly bring this down wherever that wobble is. Make sure we use our fingers. So you see how I'm using my fingers wherever that tear was happening. I slowly bring that back up, and then I'm gonna go back down to where that tear is. And there we go, we got it tame now. Sometimes if you go too much on there, it's gonna rip, and you don't really want that to happen. Where's the music? We need some more vibes. Is it just not playing? Yo, literally, what's going on? Hold on, guys. Oh, I guarantee you this video got copyrighted. The rip was so scary it made the music cut off. Alright. A little bit of water. No, that was just the video, you know. Alright, again, push down. A little bit of water there. This isn't a computer, this is a monitor. Bring our hammer fist down. We're gonna walk over to wheel. So you can see where my fist is, it's in that middle. I slowly bring just a little bit of that clay outwards here, right guys? Kind of liking how that's looking. I'm gonna open this up here. Somebody said, do I listen to Nirvana? No, it's kind of a little bit outside my generation. But I've heard some of the music before. A little bit of water on the inside here. You're gonna hook your fingers and slowly bring this out. A little bit of water in there. Smooth out this base. I leave it about 1/8 of an inch. That's the goal, right? Because I'm not wiring these off. I let them dry completely on the wheel head, and then they just pop off, you know? Okay, right down to this base. Here we go. Round this out. And last time we got our llama. Here we go, guys. One last volcano. Volcano defunct. It's the best time to be a volcano llama here, guys. Let's get right into it. See you in a second. Camera C. Dang it, I forgot! Camera B. Sorry, camera C's dead. Llama's gonna bite down that rim, slowly walking back towards us as that left hand is pushing forward to create our volcano. Why do we want the volcano? We want the volcano because if we have control of this top rim, everything's gonna be a lot easier. Now all we need to do to get height is push in that base and go straight up. Instead of otherwise, sometimes you have too much tension if you have that thick clay and it gets wide, it's hard to bring that back in. But here we go, guys. We're gonna go for a little pull, a little bit of water. Knuckle in, here we go. Slowly, find that bump, bring that in. Not too much, making sure our other knuckle doesn't kind of bump into that top there. And there we go, first pull, right? First couple pulls, what are they for? What are they for? You're trying to get height on the first pulls? No, 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 no. You're trying to actually get the walls equalized. Here we go, a little bit of water in there. Again, collar this in ever so slightly. Does the clay dry my hands out? Not anymore, it used to. I used to, when I'd bend my fingers, my hands would start bleeding, but my body kind of got acclimated to the stubbornness of my mind. Again, bring this up. And you can see how now we brought in the volcano to be a really steep volcano. We got one more pull out of this. This last pull, we got to be really, really careful, guys. A little bit more water. Collar this in just a little bit. We don't need to collar it in too much, but it's going to help us out a little bit to maintain that top rim. Here we go. One last pull. What am I making? I'm making a tree. Again, I'm going to have my finger right on this outside here. Pushing in, asking that clay for that quest. That quest is this bump. Slowly going to pop this bump up. As soon as you find that bump, you're just going to walk that up. Like a slug finding his next meal. We're not stopping. You see a wobble? You don't care. You keep moving forward. I call it crown energy. Imagine the clay is just a peasant and you are the king of the clay. There we go, guys. Alrighty. We gotta get some of that water out of there. Where do I store all my trees? Camera A. Pottery shelf. All around here, I got 2 rooms upstairs that are totally full of trees. I'll show you. And strong mentality. That's what I'm talking about there, right? Rooms. I don't make pots, I fill rooms, guys. All in the sake of building up my mind, callousing that brain. Here we go, right down to the base. Again, some more water, getting ready. And then walk up this twist. You ready, guys? Probably do a 7, so hold on, let me get over there. 7. Okay. We gotta emphasize right before that, we had a little oopsie. There we go, we're back online. And slowly walk this up, right guys? A little bit too fast. And this is gonna wanna collapse really weird. So what we're gonna do at this base, we're gonna make sure we kind of push some of these moments in, because we want it to twist in this middle. And so you can see I'm using my finger to kind of push that in, and we're gonna slowly twist that up. There we go. Camera B. We're not done. We gotta slowly get this top outwards a little bit. And there we go, we got our tree. Kiss that rim just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And so that's all about, we gotta keep our eye on it because it could fall. You could see one side I could have gone up a little bit more, right? But we will kind of account for this a little bit now, kind of twist that up a little bit more, and that should be okay, right? But look at that twist. I feel like it's really organic, and now we have a bunch of room to play around with how we want this bottom to look, right? So always keeping our eye, getting ready for it to fall. Sometimes they'll fall just like trees, right? Is it still hollow? I mean, it's twisted up. You could put one flower in there, maybe. One single rose. But you can see on that top how I didn't come up as far on this side, and look how that gets emphasized. Even a little bit of an inch off creates it so it's like kind of kiltered like that, right? And so it's kind of interesting to see how that stuff works, especially when you're making stuff, right? Again, is this another copyrighted music? Oh, it totally is. Wow, this playlist sucks. I even feel like the funk in this playlist hasn't been that saucy. I remember maybe like earlier 2023, man, the funk was just lit. All right, popping up this edge right at this bottom here. And so we have some room up here, and if I have this tree, I have a couple options. I can make some tendrils. I haven't done a double tendril today, so I might do a double tendril to really play with this top. Or I could really sell it as a tree and make those tendrils on the bottom a little bit smaller and more of a pattern, right? Got my pinky right underneath. Really making sure I keep my eye on that twist. Sometimes it'll fall, but you'd be surprised on how durable the clay is. It might even survive a fall or a little tumble, right? But it is tilting on one side, but this clay is stiff enough where I think it should be okay, right? But you can slowly see it slowly exaggerating that slow twist or that spinning of that centrifugal force. Oh, look at that. Right now I feel like it's wanting to tilt this inwards a little bit. That tension at the bottom, that's the key, right? And as soon as that sits on itself, it's gonna be a lot more sturdy. Am I still using porcelain? Yeah, I'm still throwing with porcelain. Okay. One more pull on this base. All right, what do you guys think? A double tendril or multiple tendrils? I'm making a tree. Oh, we got a lot of double tendrils. Okay, we'll do a double. Sorry, people have said the double really, really quick. Okay. So the key with the double is you want to make sure you follow that line. If you cut some off, don't be worried. Just allow it to cut off. And we're going to slowly twist and get the second one in. Okay. Again, follow that out. There you go. And the key with the double tendril, touch as little as possible. Have them reach upwards to that top. Sometimes we can make it look really interesting. And again, like I always say, the little more time, or the less time that you spend with the object, the better it will usually turn out, right? We're gonna make sure we kind of push this in here a little bit. And maybe we'll have this kind of out over my finger and curl up just like that. And so you'll see it in a second. So here you go. There's one of the tendrils. And so the second one, maybe we want something a little bit more interesting. Maybe we want it to come around and interact with that second one in a more sculptural way. So bringing this around. And I'm going to bring this over, right? Look how I'm bringing that over. Push that in. And maybe I want them to hold hands right at the top. And look at the amount of tension that that adds to the piece, right? And so all of a sudden, we gave it something a little bit more of sculptural element breaking out of that realm of pottery, right guys? Alright, smoothing out some of this bottom, and we're going to give this a slight little bump here. So we're snake this, snake that in, a little wave, snake that, and a little wave. Get some looseness on that bottom, really laying into that flowiness. And here we go. Smoothing out that base. That's number 3. Camera A. Goated 1. We need one more little sponge here, and I think that should be good. How's that looking? Alrighty guys, I know that front one's out of focus, so I'll get a hold of that in a second. What do I do with them when you're done? I let them sit there, and that's it. They just sit there. That feels like an image, guys. Look at that. We're feeling the vibes. Make sure we can get this front one in focus. I really like what's happening on that little twist there. Pop that down a little bit. How's that looking? I feel like we needed to have it a little bit tilted so you can really see what's going on there. Does that look a little bit better? Yeah, I almost like that. It almost looks like it's resting on its head. And I think it's maybe a little bit too much front focus, so we'll bring this down a little bit here. I mean up. And hopefully that will bring that other ones in focus a little bit more. Yeah, I feel like that's good. Alright. Pottery demons. Let's go. Give me some energy, guys. Give me some energy. Wow. Green on. Starting off with this one. The thing I'm thinking about this one today, this one is the shine of the day. This is the sunlight, right? Why I'm liking this one, I think the double tendril is really starting to do something with that lean on that top. Almost look like it's ready to go to bed, right? Resting its hands right on, or resting its head right on those hands or shoulders, whatever you want to call it. When you break away from pattern and those double tendrils start functioning like appendages, changes the whole entire dynamic, especially in compared to this one here. This one I like, it's a little bit more uniform. That twist is really nice. The top is a little bit more even, and the base has those petals. But what I think it's happening here, it's really in that realm of pottery, where this one starts branching out to that sculpture. All of a sudden we got that one on the top. What am I liking about this one? Not too much. I do like something about it though, is the tendrils. I did a triple tendril, still representing that pattern, still a little bit more uniform than the one over here, but I always say you gotta have the mundane to exaggerate the extraordinary. I'll see you guys later. I'll give you one more pottery edit. Goated 1. Dang! It was almost clean, and then it got messed up, my phrase. Alright, One more time. Goated 1. Goated 1. There we go. Alrighty. Make sure this doesn't stick. There we go. And alright, chill out. This one is like really making me a little bit nervous to handle here. Sometimes that all it takes is you lifting up just a little bit too fast, and it just kills the pot. Alright, let's set this down here. We're gonna push one of these in the back here. If you guys have any questions that I didn't get to during the stream, now would be a good time to ask, because I'm going to be heading off here in a second. Alright. Alright. Green off. Do I got a shop? No, I don't sell any of my work. Somebody said, have a good night, brother. Till next time. Hey, thank you so much for stopping in. You ever go back and look at your old trees? Or do they just vibe? Sometimes I'll look at them, like I'll see them around, and when I'm upstairs, like they literally get in my way when I'm walking around my apartment, right? So I kind of just let them exist. I like to think of them, they're little, you know, it's like momentum. It's visual and tangible momentum, right? Every time I think of the 3 that I threw that day and I'm surrounded by them, it's hours and hours and hours that I devoted to something, and that helps me build my confidence, right? I look at that stuff and I feel like man, some people would think I'm crazy, and that's exactly where I want to be, right? Thank you so much for stopping in again. I appreciate it. Good day from Australia. Thank you. Australia is interesting. I have a friend that's from Australia. They're like an artist there. They do a lot of like technological stuff. But anyway, all right, guys. I think that's it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hold on. Computer. Peace out, guys. See you next time.